Now, you might remember back at BlizzCon when they said this.
We're also making changes to the leveling speed for new characters to get to level 80.
Or you might have even read this and been like, I wonder how quick 60 to 8 is going to be. Well, actually, now we've got a good idea, and this might not be completely finished, but I would assume it kind of is on the basis pre-patch is in 6 days. I'm going to tell you right up front, there's no point leveling right now, although you could still do Outland, because actually the one that's significantly reduced is Northrend. So if you're currently leveling 70 to 80 at the moment for whatever reason, if you've got anything else that you can currently do with your time, I'd do that because you're going to do it a hell of a lot quicker in the pre-patch. But actually Outland, if it stays as it is, has barely changed. Now, what you need to understand firstly is what happened with the XP back in the day. So actually during Cataclysm, Outland wasn't touched at all anyway, so it kind of tracks if they didn't do a great deal to Outland this time round either, because actually Northrend is the longest part of the leveling process, until you get to 80 to 85 of course. But what they did do is 2 big changes to the Northrend quests. So at first, originally in Cataclysm, they knocked the XP requirement down by 20%. So to give you an idea of what this looked like, to get from 74 to 75 at the moment in Wrath of the Lich King is 1,587,900 XP. Originally, back at the launch of Cataclysm, that would have actually dropped down to just under 1.3 million, so a good couple of 100k knocked off there. But then later on in one of the final patches, it got a further 33.3% reduction as well, so now this brought it down to 847k. Now, having that 20% total and then 33% total, bringing it down to 847k, that's obviously a substantial difference. And you're probably thinking, actually, if we've got those numbers, Northrend's going to be really fast. It's going to be faster. And I tell you a way it can be a lot faster is if you pick up your Rested XP guide, which actually launches at some point today. There's a link in the pinned comment in the description. It really is the fastest way to go from level 1 to 85. It is an affiliate link, so all guides bought go towards supporting the channel, so thanks in advance if you pick yourself a guide up. So shout out to Chunk, who's been actually keeping this log of how much the XP is each time he levels on his DK currently, which paints a really good picture between 60 and 70. Even though he's only gone up to 68, we can already see that the XP reductions are absolutely humongous when compared to the values that we're dealing with now. Now, I'm going to say something that I know many of you all like, actually, which makes a change, because normally I'm saying things that upset you. But I think for Outland only, they should keep Joyous Journeys active. And when I break some of this down, you'll understand why. So let's look at the level 66 requirement. Currently on live, to go from 66 to 67 is 527,000 XP. On the beta, with the XP adjustments, it's now only 331,000. So yes, it's a good couple of 100,000 less, but we aren't going to have Joyous Journeys, which gives 50% extra from quests. Now, if we was to just use Nagrand as an example, quests on average in Nagrand give 11,300. This is with no Joyous Journeys and no heirlooms. So with Joyous Journeys, each quest is going to give about 16,950. Again, this is still with no heirlooms, so you could further increase this by at least another 20%. But for these examples, let's just assume no heirlooms, you're a brand new character, you've got no looms, you're leveling your first character. So with Joyous Journeys right now, you're going to be getting 16,950 a quest in Nagrand. This means with no mob killing experience, to get from 66 to 67 in Nagrand, you'd currently need to complete 31 quests. Now, we know it's not a perfect science because some quests will give more and some will give less, but overall 11,300 is about the average quest XP that you're going to get in Nagrand. So 31 quests with no looms, not having to kill anything, that's right now. And that absolutely tracks because you can always get at least a couple of levels in Nagrand before you even get the achievement Nagrand Slam. So now let's compare it to the new XP requirement value, but without having any Joyous Journeys at all. So again, we're going to use the base XP value of 11,300 a quest in Nagrand. You're now going to have to complete 2 less quests. You're going to have to do 29 quests instead of 31. Of course, you're not even going to have to do 29 because you're going to have heirlooms on. You're going to be getting like XP from the mobs that you're killing while you're doing the quests. So it's not going to be quite that. You might have to do 24 quests or 25 quests. But when we're just looking at the pure XP from quests versus the XP reduction that we're getting but not having Joyous Journeys, it's barely speeding it up, let's be honest, only reducing it by 2 quests in total. That's why I say in Outland it'd actually be quite nice to have the XP reduction in but also have Joyous Journeys. you're not going to need Joyous Journeys in Northrend. Now, currently on the beta, character copies are disabled, so I've kind of just scrounged around and spoke to people at various different levels to get an idea of what they actually need, because all of my characters on there are already level 80. But big old Classic Go, shout out to Classic Go, actually happen to have a level 74 druid. Now, using 74 as an example, as I say, you need about 1587900. That's currently right now in Wrath. It got its 20% reduction, and then it got a further 33% reduction, which brought it down to 847k. Well, actually, on the beta, it's now 656k. Well, 656,600. Now, that is absolutely massive. So we're getting the 20%, we're getting the 33%, and then we're getting a further 22% on top of that as well. Now, using the quest examples again, if we was to look at getting from 74 to 75 in Dragonblight quests give just over 20,000 XP, or just over 30,000 with Joyous Journeys. Again, this is assuming absolutely no heirlooms, so you can increase this further. Now, currently with Joyous Journeys, to get from 74 to 75, and to fill out that whopping nearly 1.6 million XP bar, it's going to take 53 quests. Now, 53 quests don't sound a lot, but that's a decent amount of quests, especially when we're assuming you're getting the average XP from every quest. But that is with a 50% increase from Joyous Journeys, obviously. Ordinarily, it would be a lot more quests than that. But now, if we say pre-patch with no Joyous Journeys, but all these XP reductions in place, you're actually only going to have to do 33 quests now. Throw heirlooms in there, it might be 28 quests. Throw the mob kills in there, it might come down to 24, 25 quests. So overall, Northrend is a huge reduction. You're literally going to be flying through the levels in Northrend, and they get this really nice creep up in XP now, rather than it being huge leaps and jumps between each level. Like you can see when you're going from 60 to 68, level 60 requires 280k. It doesn't even go up a full 100k between 60 and 68, whereas currently between 60 and 68 you go from 290k all the way up to 650,000 nearly. So it's actually going up by a good few hundred thousand. So that's been completely removed. It just feels every level's going to feel similar in the amount of time you spend. So at the moment when you do level 60 to 61 in Outland and you're like, oh, that weren't too bad, level 69 to 70 is not going to feel any different. Every level is going to feel quicker. Outland just hasn't had the same treatment that Northrend has because it never had that treatment back in the day. But in terms of the actual reductions that it's seeing, it starts very small at level 60 being like a 3% XP reduction, because normally it's 290k, but now it's 280k. But it does go up to like nearly 50% in reduced XP to get from 69 to 70. So every level is having more of a reduction added each time. I know this is a very numbers driven video, and I hope you kept up, and I hope I annotated it all well enough on screen for you. But I actually think this is a really good thing. For any of you that have played all the way through Wrath, you'll know sometimes they accidentally turn off Joyous Journeys, and it'll always be when you're leveling a character, and then you're like, oh, I'll have to wait for them to turn it back on. It could take a day or two. There's not going to be any of that because they're not relying on Joyous Journeys. This is actually extremely positive. I'm actually happy to say something on the beta looks good. I mean, everything on the beta looks good. There's just things that are broke. But overall, once Big Chunk has finished his full spreadsheet from 60 to 80, I will post a link to it in my Discord so you can see exactly what every level requires anyway. But we've already got a good idea of how much the reductions are going to be, and yeah, it's looking good. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe. I have got another one coming out that's a bit spicy in the next couple of days, so definitely make sure you subscribe. When I say next couple of days, it will probably be tomorrow, and it's a very critical look at what's been going on the beta. Is the pre-patch really ready and all of that? So it might be a bit more negative from me than what you're used to, but sometimes you just got to be honest. Again, be sure to check out Rested XP in the pinned comment and the description, and I'll see you on the next one.